Hi, my name's Tash. My pronouns are she, her.
Hi, my name is Hanifah. My pronouns are she and her.
We are mental health research interns.
At the Black Healing Center.
So, Hanifah and I are going to talk about Black women and mental health, specifically about how depression affects Black women differently than the general population. So, throughout the video series, we will be using the term women, but that is not exclusive to cis women. So, we understand that women is not a binary phenomenon. We're just using this term because that's what the research relates to.
Hope you enjoy the rest of the video series. So, full disclaimer, we will be using the term major depressive disorder and depression interchangeably throughout the video series. So, major depressive disorder is a mood disorder that is defined by at least one depressive episode lasting minimally 2 weeks. It is characterized by changes in mood, interest and pleasure, cognition, and physical symptoms. So according to the DSM-5, you must have at least one of the core symptoms, being either depressed mood or loss of interest or pleasure, along with various other symptoms such as feelings of worthlessness or guilt, lack of energy, poor concentration, difficulty sleeping, appetite changes, or suicidal thoughts. So to meet the criteria for major depressive disorder, you must have a minimum of 5 symptoms. So this includes one of the core symptoms along with 4 of the other symptoms. These symptoms must be present for at least 2 weeks. So furthermore, these symptoms must cause clinically significant impairment or distress and must interfere with daily or normal functioning. Did you know that depression is the 3rd leading cause of the burden of disease worldwide? It also affects 1 in every 6 adults, and it's twice as common in females than in males.
So this is a loaded question because depression in and of itself could be caused by hormonal or chemical imbalances, environmental stressors, genetics, trauma, or a lack of community support. So Black women are at an increased likelihood of dealing with environmental stressors and trauma on top of all the other factors that contribute to depression. Strong identification with your culture could help some people cope with depression, but in the case of Black women, this identification may be more harmful, but we could come back to that later. Black women and female presenting people have a unique set of prejudices against them. When spending time with white women or white gender nonconforming individuals, racism is perpetuated, and when spending time with Black men, sexism is perpetuated. So we often have to navigate the world knowing that whatever environment we're in, we need to prepare ourselves for the type of discrimination we'll face. It's no surprise that this takes a toll on our mental health. And a way that we've been adapting to this is by internalizing what's called the strong Black woman schema. So this is the idea that Black women have to encompass the stereotypical facets of Blackness and womanhood. This includes being nurturing, independent, self-reliant, and resilient in the face of stress and even trauma, and includes being selfless and quiet about their struggles.
And when you think about it, most Black people know a strong Black woman. Someone who you can look up to and rely on. Someone who suffers in silence and takes care of their family. Until recently, I thought I had to be that person. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people still do. And while being the strong Black woman has helped us cope through adversity, it also increases the likelihood and severity of depression and changes the way that it's presented. For instance, suppressing emotion means that the symptoms that you usually see in someone with depression doesn't show. Also, suppression of emotions can lead to emotional dysregulation, which means that Black women experience more problems identifying their emotion, which can lead to distress and the development of the suppressive symptoms. Another example would be anxiety, which is comorbid with depression. Anxiety can present itself through physical pain, such as muscle soreness, headaches, and fatigue.
So the strong Black women schema also affects Black women's ability to reach out for help. There's kind of a two-way street between psychological distress and help seeking. So distress creates a need for seeking help, but the fear of seeming weak prevents this action, which creates more distress. Seeking psychological help can provide Black women with the tools they need to properly cope with stress and be more vulnerable with themselves and others. Most of the time, behaving according to the strong Black woman schema, or the way society expects a Black woman to behave, isn't conscious. It's how we were raised. It's an accumulation of generational oppression and trauma. In many social contexts, making yourself smaller is equivalent to being safe. And there's a lot of fear associated with what would happen if cultural expectations are not fulfilled, which is why strong community identifications may sometimes be harmful to Black women. Being strong and resilient maintains societal, cultural, and family expectations of how a Black person should behave. And a lot of people internalize the strong Black woman schema because they've been taught to or fear behaving otherwise.
Psychotherapy and pharmacotherapy are the two most common first treatment choices for major depressive disorder. Essentially, pharmacotherapy is the treatment of a disorder with medication, whereas psychotherapy is the practice of treating psychological disorders and mental distress with verbal and psychological approaches.
Let Black women take up space. Your comfort should not be at the expense of Black women's mental health. And by taking up space, I mean let Black women talk about their lives, not only about the things that make them happy, but about the things that make them sad, angry, anxious, and depressed. Recognize that Black women may not experience depression the same way you expect depression to be seen, but that's still valid. And I can't stress this enough, redistribute your resources. This can help alleviate the environmental stress that contributes a lot to depression. Thanks so much for listening.
I hope you learned something today.